the Forged and Unbroken podcast. Where, just hit us with some of the facts outside the firehouse. Like, you have your own road named after you. Tell us about it.
Yeah. I'm from Gettysburg, PA. One of those PA guys that
finds her way across the Mason-Dixon.
Yeah, in the horse and buggy. And we have a farm there that I grew up at and I live there now and spend a lot of time there. So that's how I got, that was most of my childhood besides that and youth sports, volunteer firehouses that led to paramedic school that led to Howard County.
Yeah. Multi-generation farming operation too, right?
Yep. Grandparents were there when I was a kid, dairy farm, and my earliest memories are there. And probably had a lot to do with the type of individual I am now, which, I was doing whatever Grandpa and Dad were doing, picking rocks and throwing hay bales. And then when Grandma was inside doing cross-stitch and knitting, we were doing that too. So,
right.
That's what a lot of the early stuff looked like.
One of the most interesting men in the world.
Man of many talents.
That's where it came from.
Right. Yeah, grunt work is like, it's not even grunt work for you. That's just what it is. I feel like.
It's so funny. When you were one of the pioneers in the CrossFit in my world and brought it to the firehouse and all that. And originally I didn't pay much attention to it. And then I kind of always kidded around in my head about it. It was like, what CrossFit's what everybody else calls work. And they are very similar, but I've grown to love that conditioning and strength as well. So I have a love for it.
Yeah. When I graduated the academy, 17 years ago, we came out to the same firehouse together. You were my mentor.
Barely. I think we learned a lot from each other.
We did. It was the beginning of like an awesome like foundation. I know for me. Yeah. And we already had some craziness in our first year. I know for me, where we were first assigned, and it was just funny how throughout our careers and friendships kind of passed and intermingled, and we found our way back at 7 together.
I think about that a lot. The way that started, and then we didn't really see each other or spend a lot of time together for 10 years. And then all of a sudden we were back there picking up where we left off, and that was great. Yeah. It's funny how things work out like that.
Yeah, it really is. And then when we both found our way back to 7, just having picking back up where we left off, and then just being able to get back on the wagon together. And then we just had an awesome relationship, which is the shift in general. Like we were vibing really well.
It's very special.
It's a very special place. It was a good thing. But fast forward a little bit, the night of Woodscape, where were you riding?
71 Charlie behind you.
Yeah.
It was Trini's birthday. I remember making the conscious thing about that morning to have him ride the line for his birthday. Yeah. So that's how that went down. And I ended up in the C seat. And little tidbit, wearing the S7 R2 BA specifically. Something that sticks out in my mind. It wasn't the Charlie BA. It was a reserve that I was wearing that night. So when I see that, I always think about that a little bit. Yeah. That's the one I was wearing.
I was a lieutenant on 71 that night. Yep. So, and I'm sure we'll do a more in-depth review of the line of duty that we were involved with. And there are some presentations that are out on YouTube, and maybe we can even link out to those, and that can be a conversation for another day. But we're going to talk about just what came after Woodscape and the decisions that were made, the emotions that we went through, and the goal, I think, for a lot of us is, sure, there's going to be maybe some decompression and healing, but I think it's also hopefully some others can live through our experience and maybe prepare themselves, God forbid, if they're ever in a similar situation. Like, there are going to be some feelings and emotions that you go through. You have to make decisions. You're going to have some togetherness. You're definitely going to experience hardship. And maybe if you can live a little bit through our lens, hopefully we'll prepare you a little bit better for an event that you may have to go through, because I know we've learned from other people as well.
Yeah,
And I
even
think
to
that
this
helped
day.
us with the connection. I think we've managed pretty well, all things considered.
I remember in all the NIOSH reviews that we did as part of our weekly training stuff, I had never really considered what it was like for the people left behind and what they might have been feeling or going through. And then when I started experiencing that, it took me really by surprise. So I'm really, for a long time I thought about the need to speak out about it and prepare people, give people an idea, or even like when some neighboring departments would experience that, I really felt the need to like go warn them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, bud, this is going to be a multi-year thing, and here's some things to look out for. So I'm really glad that we're able to sit down here and talk some of this through, and hopefully somebody can pull something from it that will make a difference to them.
Yeah. I think we all want that, and we all needed that. And I think we were fortunate enough that we were close enough that we had some of that.
For sure.
But there are definitely people that did not have that.
Yeah.
And they probably struggled a lot more. So
We're very fortunate that we were tight. I mean, as tight, I think, as companies get beforehand. And the way that we were all able to survive that together in the aftermath.
yeah. So, I know we all have kind of like our own little story. I think there's a lot of crossover, and I know we're all going to hit on that together, and we're all going to have some of our own stories, separate from all of us, and we're all just going to kind of jump in. There's no real good rhyme scheme to what we're doing, so anybody listening can just bear with us, hopefully we'll keep it interesting enough, and with a good flow. But I know that as we were coming, we were writ that night,
Yeah.
and teamed up with Truck 7 from our own house. We work really well together, and we had gotten Nate, and we were bringing him out through the basement. We handed him to 105, which it was Nate's own crew.
Yep.
It's your station. And I remember Glenn immediately took charge and did a phenomenal job of taking charge,
Yeah.
bringing Nate
That
out.
was a very, very vivid image of him.
Same.
As soon as I came out of the backslider, I can see him today as it was yesterday.
Yeah, same.
Working over Nate.
Yeah.
And I was impressed.
We were so spent after bringing Nate out of the crawl space and going through what we did. He was the guy who came in, got him out the rest of the way, and helped us bring him out. So he did that. A few minutes later, he's up on the deck doing work, and the deck gives way, and he got seriously injured.
Oh, yeah.
He was off the floor for a while.
He went down hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he kept working. But yeah, he passed away from, occupationally related cancer. So it's a year ago this month.
Yeah. I remember specifically sitting on the back wall of that landscape wall where we all were lined up. And when he fell through, and I looked at Trini and I said, "This place is fucking cursed."
Yeah.
And he looked at me and said, "What is happening?"
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And we know this now. Within 1 to 2 minutes of us leaving the crawl space that we were in collapsed.
If that.
Yeah.
If
that.
When I was listening to Joe Connect's presentation, he said that when he went back up that short flight of steps where Los initially had gone up, he remembers being there looking out at what used to be the floor, and it was collapsed.
Yeah.
And that was, he said he specifically remembered when Captain Love was saying over the radio that we had him, and we had just gotten back to the top of the steps where Los was.
Yeah.
When that happened. So if it was 1 to 2 minutes and putting those couple pieces together, it may have been much less than that.
And that sticks with me. Like,
Yeah.
there could have been, we lost Nate, but there could have been 7 of us.
It's so wild to think, like, when we were in there, I never really felt in danger.
Yeah.
But then looking back and, putting some of those pieces together and hearing some of the other guys' stories of, there was a certain unique peace and calm over the actions.
Yeah.
And where we were and what we were doing that I never felt worried.
Same. I think I knew that it was bad, but I also knew that we were making forward progress. There was these small little actionable things that we kept working on, and they kept advancing that needle forward bit by bit. And so I knew that any curveball or setback that we had, we were managing, and it provided more confidence. And I knew that we all trusted each other to the nth degree, that there was no worry about what everybody was doing. Also, we all knew the mission, and we could operate independently and have that sense of togetherness to make it all happen as well. So I think that can't be understated,
Yeah. And where I was, there was one or two periods where I could stop for a second, focus on my breathing a little bit, make sure we were conserving air right. And then by the time we got back to the top of the steps, my belt was going off, but I knew where we were and where we were headed, and we were going out. So that was really like the check marks of that progression. Like, the bell's going off, but we're good. We know where we're going. We got some time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we passed them off to 105. They did their work, and we knew like we were no good after that. Number one.
Yeah. I remember definitely thinking, sorry to interrupt.
No.
When I came out of the backslider, thinking that there was work to do. And then Chief Bean said something that I think about a lot still. The sweetest words probably I've ever heard, which was, go over there and take your stuff off. You're done.
Yeah.
And whenever we all got together at Station 3 for that one of those first kind of gatherings to get some information, I pulled him aside and told him, like, I don't know if you learned that somewhere, you were taught that in a chief's class or seminar or something, I don't know, but that made a big difference. Like, that was crucial at that time.
Yeah.
To just have that separation between, you're done with this, go over there and stand down.
Yeah.
That's just me.
No, it was huge for us. And I remember I knew that I just physically wasn't even able to do anything if there was something to be asked of me or us. But I remember there's still some fire showing in some weird places from the exterior. And I remember being in a t-shirt by that point and just knocking down little bits of fire that I could just to keep moving and to stay busy. I mean, I think we all knew that it was bad, but there was, I don't know, maybe for me, just holding on that little shred of hope and being surprised that Nate was going to be okay, Yeah. And I know we all went out back, and while we're waiting, said a little prayer.
Yeah.
We kind of, joined up in a circle, and everybody from 7 said a little prayer. I didn't really have good words. It just
no, they were great.
Something.
I remember that. It was short, sweet, and thankful to have that memory.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I had a really good feeling at that point. When I first put my hands on Nate, my gut reaction was that he was dead. So in my mind, I knew that, or I would have been shocked if I had heard anything away from that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he had the look. From what bits I could see, I remember when we were bringing him out, he had the look and the feel.
Definitely the feel. That's the biggest sensory thing that I probably have outside of hearing past devices going off is the sheer amount of stiffness and the zero feedback that I got when I had my hands on them. Usually if you're wearing clothing or gear, the gear moves, your skin moves under it. If you slide your hands across somebody, there's some give there. Yeah. And I didn't have that. It was like rolling a 3-foot log. I remember that very vividly.
Sure. Yeah. Remember just that idle time was just awkward as hell.
Yeah.
I remember going to the wagon and talking to another lieutenant. And he's like, dude, what happened in there? And all I could say was, we got trapped and we got out and we brought him out. I have no idea.
Yeah.
We were trapped. We got out. We kept going. We got him. He came out. I'm beside I don't know what to say right now. We were just drenched.
I think that's a really kind of important point is, like, we were there and we knew what we did. But we don't know what happened before that. We don't really know what happened after that.
Yeah.
I can't even try to venture a guess.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear people talk about that, it seems like people think that they have a pretty good idea of what happened, but it's like if you weren't immediately there, intimately involved, you don't really know what happened.
So many more questions than answers. And as firemen, I feel like we do a really great job of trying to fill the void with as little information as
Trying
possible.
to make sense of it. But,
You just don't know.
Along the lines of what you said about when we were had left the back of the house and we were putting our stuff back. I remember kind of putting my SCBA back in its bracket and the buddy breathing whip hanging out.
Yeah.
Another one of those images that's burnt in there.
Yeah.
And I would kind of thought about the next crew coming in there that would have to pick all that back up and put it back in service.
Yeah.
You know, what that might have looked like or the feeling they might have had whenever they were doing that.
Sure. I remember feeling super guilty because we had 1,000 feet of 4-inch in the street and just apologizing. Like, I am so sorry. You have to re-rack that. And like my gear was just nasty and
a mess.
Just thrown up in the cab. And because I just assumed we left on the rig, we were going to bring it back. And we didn't.
Yeah.
I jumped up in the front of the cab and I fortunately had my phone with me. And I remember texting my wife and my mom because I grew up in the area and I'm sure she would know. And obviously when I text my wife that it was something just like, hey, we made it out. We're okay. Whatever you hear.
Yeah.
We're okay. And I remember my wife woke up to the text message and she told me one of our friends from Pittsburgh had already seen the news when she woke up first thing. And she saw the text from her friend in Pittsburgh, like, hey, is Josh okay? And she immediately flipped over and saw mine and was like, yeah, he's okay. I don't know what's going on, but like, he's okay. And we all start making our way up the street we have our MAB medical ambulance bus, that big thing. And we knew that we'd be going to the hospital and they'd be kind of wrangling a bunch of us up. And it was mostly people from 7 and 10, I feel like, that were all together.
Yeah. And 5.
5 a little bit.
Yeah.
And we walk away from the scene. We knew we were done. And the aide that night, our friend, another guy from 7 who was detailed to be the aide that night, Brian.
He's the best.
One of my best friends. He looks at me and looks down at the ground and holds up a 4.
Yeah.
And it was then I knew that, Nate had passed.
Yeah.
And then was acting fire chief because our other fire chief was doing like humanity work out of country.
Yeah.
And he told everybody that, Nate had passed.
Yeah.
We're sitting on the side of a road and lets us all know. And, you see some grown men cry and you see a lot of people, give hugs and just look down at the ground and kind of kick rocks,
At that moment, people would kind of, it was quiet, obviously.
Yeah.
But people, at least the guys, I remember Tim Daly, a couple guys from 10 and us, and like the only thing that we knew to do, which was exceptional, was to go up to somebody and be like, hey, you good?
Yeah.
Hey, you good? And it kind of cracks me up now. Like, but that's all we knew at the time.
That's all you know.
That's
right?
all we knew was to be like, check in on your buddies. And
all we knew was say was like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. We were 15 minutes post, like
craziest
nobody
moment of
had
our
any
lives.
idea.
Yeah.
We did. And we didn't know the ride that was coming. We just didn't know.
Yeah.
And similarly, like when we showed up to work that day, like you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
It's another day. It's not like you get to prepare. Like you got to take the prep that you've already done, the discipline of all the previous months of shifts and go with what you got, just kind of interesting. And then we were in the bus and I didn't have my phone that night. I left it on the bedside. When those certain tones in the bunk room go off, I just go.
Yeah.
No shoes, put a shirt on the way, maybe.
Right.
But I didn't have my phone and I used yours to call Kristen first. She answered. And then I called my dad because I knew my mom, she wakes up early and I didn't want her to wake up and see something on the news and me not have my phone and them to have those few minutes of panic. So I was able to reach home. Thanks for the phone.
I remember looking down. Munn was sitting next to me, who was, right there alongside of us, and he had his head down. I remember it just being eerie because you got the red lights of the
Yeah, man.
being on
That
the
was
bus,
so weird,
just
dude.
having those red lights on.
Yeah.
And he was looking down at his phone and just swiping pictures while looking at his kids. Just tears rolling down his face. I remember I put my arm around him and I remember thinking, like, I cannot wait to be home and see my kids. That's one of those images, just, we're shoulder to shoulder and, in one of those moments where you feel, I don't want to say you feel weak, but you have that other family, your literal biological family that's back home, that's probably, they're freaking out as well. I mean, you can get into stories of what the wives and kids and spouses had to go through as well, because they experienced it in a different way. And
It's a whole nother story.
it's a
I'm
whole other
sure.
story. Yeah.
God bless.
So yeah, we're on our way. And I remember we walked into the hospital. We get dropped off. We go through the ER. I remember seeing, we were assigned at 7, so we were right next to the hospital, and we knew some of the nurses and some of the staff. I know we all have our own little experiences at the hospital, but I remember, there was almost like a receiving line, and walking in, like everybody could go in and say some words if you wanted to. I remember standing in the threshold of his room. He's draped in a flag.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling awkward. I remember standing in the doorway, just looking at the flag and not knowing what the hell what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? People are going in saying something what? I have no fucking clue what I'm supposed to do or say right now. So I stood in the threshold, and I just walked out. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously people are hugging and talking and crying, and the investigators came in and immediately you got to write everything down that and press hard to make 3 copies kind of thing.
God, that was miserable.
And that kind of sucked. It was probably good in that it was a little bit of a distraction, but it was also and I feel it for them, they have to have reports and paperwork and things to figure out. I remember just being super awkward. I remember looking up as I'm writing the report, and I could look over my left shoulder and I had a straight shot, and I could just see the flag and see his body, and then put my head down and keep writing. And I'd look up and I'd look over, and there's the flag again, and he's just in the room, and look back down and keep writing. It was just really eerie. Yeah, Nate's wife, Celeste, we all got the message that, hey, she's coming. She's on her way. And I remember we all lined up in the ER, and it was from what I remember hearing, it was in an effort to, one, obviously show respect, and then also it's almost like a receiving line. She doesn't have to awkwardly, where am I going? We're almost guiding her to the room. Remember they said, stand at attention. And a couple seconds later, they're like, hey, false alarm. I remember thinking,
Dude, that was the worst.
motherfucker, are you
We did it 5
serious?
times.
I could visualize Celeste coming through the doors, an utter wreck, and having to see that and witness that, knowing they have kids. God, I just want to be home. And once they're like, hey, nope, false alarm, I was like, that just crushed me. And I was like, I remember I made a phone call to 7 and talked to one of the guys. I was like, listen, don't do it yet. If I give you the green light, can you get here as soon as you can to pick us up? It's like, yep, you just say the word. And I remember I turned around and looked at you guys and listen, I have a ride for us. If you want to stay here and be here for Celeste, I'm good with that. If you don't want to go through that, we can go back and leave, and we can, take care of us.
I remember that. And my gut feeling at that moment was that I was ready to leave, but I didn't really want to say anything in case somebody else wanted to be there. But I'm thankful to not have that image. And I'm thankful that we did what we did.
Yeah. I felt like I strong-armed people a little bit, because you guys were like, no, whatever you want to do, it's fine.
And honestly, we didn't know what to do.
And yeah, we really didn't.
So
I know
yeah.
I do feel like I did not want to see Celeste selfishly go through that. And I wanted to be home. And so I just made the decision, all right, one of our guys picked us up, got us back to the firehouse.
Yeah.
And as we're driving out of the parking lot, the black SUVs with Celeste are pulling in.
Yeah.
And I remember being mixed, like we dodged a bullet. And I felt like it was this weird mix of like, you couldn't man up for a couple more minutes and be there for her. And then there was that also part where like, no, you're protecting you and your guys' mental well-being and not having to witness that either. I was split down the middle.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It was the things you remember, but I remember the guys from 7 that had like went through our stuff, like our lockers and our gym bags and stuff, and brought us clean clothes or whatever,
Yeah.
which was just a little detail.
Yeah.
Nobody changed in the hospital. We just went back, but
It was a nice gesture.
A nice
you know?
gesture, very
Yeah, they're
thoughtful
looking
of
out
them.
for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember we get to the firehouse and I'm walking through the engine bay. Obviously all kinds of people are there and, it's kind of humming. And I remember walking through and I see 3 young guys
Yeah.
off in the back, just kind of huddled up. And I remember thinking, this is the first day of our recruits class, the latest recruit class. They just graduated and this is their first day on the job.
Yep.
And I took a second. I remember thinking, if this was 12 hours earlier, it could have been one of them on this call. And you could just see their like starry eye. They don't know what the hell to do or say. And I remember walking over to them and saying, guys, I am going to apologize in advance. We don't really know what to do or say right now. And we are trying to figure this out. We're going to be figuring this out for a while. And all I ask is patience. Please be patient with us. We're going to support you as best we can. Normally we have a routine and it's going to be a little bit different right now. And so I just ask that you be patient with us and we'll get you right as soon as we can. But I really don't have the words for you right now. And they were incredibly understanding. And I'm sure that was very awkward for them. First 5 minutes on the job, walking in the firehouse and it's just mayhem,
I can't imagine.
And officers coming up and saying, like, hey, what happened? What do you know? And just, say what little bits you did, but you really didn't know.
Yeah.
People are trying to piece it together. And I remember I got my stuff. I didn't even unmake my bed. Like somebody had to do it for me later on. But I remember thinking, all right, check in with a couple people and then I'm going to roll. And looking back, I didn't realize after the fact how many people had stayed at the station for a while just to be with each other. I remember looking back and thinking, man, as much as I wanted to be home, I was hard on myself. I felt like I failed the guys because they all hung out. They needed to be together and decompress a little bit more. And I chucked the deuces.
Yeah. And everybody deals with it in their own little way, and everybody that needed a ride or needed something, had somebody, there was already peer support there and a lot of other people there.
It was in the works.
I do remember one member of the peer support team kind of mentioning to me that people will want to stay there and be with each other. So I think, we had the togetherness, but eventually got to go home.
Got to go home.
Which is kind of, I don't really remember much about. I don't remember the ride home at all. I don't remember talking to anybody or anything. And I think sometimes the brain kind of throws in some protective measures here and there to keep you from remembering some things.
Absolutely.
I remember, guys starting to trickle out, and then I left, and before I left, I asked Trini what he was going to do, and I think he said he was going over to the union office to hang out there for a while before he went home. Okay. Which I'm not even sure if I ever checked to see if he actually did that or what, but some point you got to go.
I was driving home and going back to music. I was like, let me put on just some feel good, like, beach rock reggae. And, but I think it's Stephen Marley and an abnormally slow reggae song. And it's going to be all right. And for anybody that knows that song, like it was such the first time I ever heard of it, it's a hard departure from that like genre of music, and it just grabbed my attention, and it was just very serendipitous. It was just super odd. I remember screenshotting it, be like, wow, this is fucking weird. And yeah, obviously people are calling and blowing up my phone. So I pull into the house, and it's summer, so the kids are, home, and we had a friend of a friend who was like watching our kids over the summer, and we told her like, hey, my wife told her like, listen, you can stay home today. We just kind of need some space. And I walk in, and my girls were like all dolled up in princess dresses and like running around the house. I remember thinking, I took a couple of pictures. I remember like, I'm probably going to want to remember this. I remember my wife prepped the girls before I'd gotten home to like kind of let them know. We don't try to hide really much from them. Like, honesty is the best policy here. And one of them, my youngest one, comes up, and I think at the time they were like 4 and 2, so they were young. And one, my youngest daughter said is, hey, Daddy, is your friend hurt? I didn't really know what to say. I was like, yeah, he's hurt. He's not going to make it home. And just for a 2-year-old, they can't really process that. And she was, Daddy. I'm like, oh man, here, what's going to be the next question? She's like, can you make me cereal? And I just kind of laughed because like I had to go back into dad mode at the same time, right? Like I'm a couple hours post the crazy event of my life, and like, all right, yeah, I'm going to make my 2-year-old some cereal.
Yeah.
And as I'm walking over through the kitchen, my oldest, Harper, was like, Dad, is your friend going to come home? And I remember thinking, and telling her like, no, he's not going to make it home. And she goes, Dad? I go, yeah. Ken, like, what's the next question going to be? She's like, you're standing in front of the TV. It's just the middle of summer, early morning, and so it's like it kind of made me laugh. So go back into that mode. And I remember just every night when I'm putting the girls to bed for weeks, my girls kept asking like, why is your friend not home? What happened to him? Why are you crying? Like just every single night. And we'd be driving down the road like, Dad, like, yeah, what happened to your friend? And it was just like these weird questions, like a little innocent kid is at least aware enough of what's happening, what's going on. But my wife was awesome. She's like, I got the kids. I'm going to take care of stuff. Like, do what you need to do. And I remember a couple of things stuck in my mind. Like one, I got to write all this down because I'm sure there's gonna be a massive investigation, and I just need to know what it is, like unfiltered, get it on paper. Still hadn't showered at this point. And I also remember reading Dave Grossman's book on combat. When you have crazy events like that, you had 2 groups of people in the military, the ones that would go and drink their faces off and the ones that would go and like work out. And I remember thinking like, whatever I'm going through right now, I need to feel this, and I don't need to dampen it with alcohol. I remember thinking, don't drink, because hormonally, like I'm just jacked right now, and I'm just going to throw a depressant on that. Like I need to feel this. I need to let it work its way out of my system. And I remember I didn't drink for like the entire week until we got to like Nate's actual funeral. But then I showered, I crashed. And then I know we woke up and we went to go see my family that night because they were obviously freaking out and asking for the story. And, I can count on one hand how many times my dad has like hugged me and said, I love you, that kind of thing. And I remember going through that and reliving it from what I knew at the time. Seeing him upset was, kind of rocked me. But that was the first couple minutes of just getting home. You're coming home to 3 kids.
Yeah, 2 at the time. And Kristen had arranged for my parents to have the kids, so things would be a little less chaotic when I walked in. And she asked what I needed, and I said I just need to go upstairs and lay down. On the way home, I had downloaded a voice recorder app. I knew that there was going to be investigations, and I knew that the more people started talking about it, the more it may affect exactly like what my freshest memory was. So whenever I got home, which was probably close to lunchtime, I laid in bed and pressed the voice recorder and just spoke it out from the time we got there, got off the engine, until we were back out, and putting our stuff back on the engine. Really glad that I did that.
Yeah.
And then slept for a while. But later on, whenever we did the NIOSH interviews, I had that voice recording, so I was able to just play it for him and then answered a few questions.
Yeah.
So I was thankful that I had the forethought to be able to, like you said, take the notes while it was as fresh as I could remember all the intimate details, record it, and I think for that afternoon, I went over to my shop and was just hanging out, sitting in the chair, answering those phone calls and texts a little bit that people checking in.
Yeah.
And then went over to Rich's later because he had moved not far away. So we went over there to hang out for a little bit and kind of talk about how crazy it was. And actually, you called me while I was there to check in, see what I was up to. And I remember you saying, well, it's good you guys are together. So, but we had another day off. And then we were, going back into work on Wednesday. I was on Kelly Day that day. And I had already had a little, I already had a little trip planned with some outside the work buddies. We were going fishing and camping and whatever for a few days, but I went to 7 and just to help things get back a little bit, get back on the right foot, and it was the normal early early relief BA checks and drills and all the normal things that they were doing. And then we rode back down to Woodscape and did the walkthrough. And that's when I had my first interview with the ATF.
I remember when I left that morning to go back into work. I remember my wife saying, "You don't have to go in. Like, you can take time. You don't have to do this. You don't have to, like, it's okay to say, like, you need a day." And I remember thinking, like, I know, but we all need to be there for each other right now. And I remember, like, and I heard this from a lot of guys, like, that hug and that kiss goodbye that morning was
different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different for both of us. I remember we went in and talking about the SISM team. We're sitting there with the Captain Jimmy Love, and we're looking at each other like, we don't know these guys, and they're not going to talk. I think there were some guys from Montgomery County, and if it was you, if you're listening, like, we apologize. We're like, hey, listen.
Thanks for trying.
You can't be here. So I remember they sent them to another firehouse, and they like, listen, you have to have somebody. So I'm just like, we're literally ordering you to have somebody there, but we'll get somebody else. I think it was Doug Welsh, like one of our own captains came in and was like, I'm just here. I'm going to sit in the back. If you need me, I'm here. But I remember we did kind of kick the guys out. We're like, sorry, dude, it's not you. And I remember, the firehouse was buzzing, and we kept it as normal as we could, like doing the checks, and you can see it was just like that energy there of like, let's make this as normal as possible. And I know we all gave each other time to go around the table and talk and cry and say your own experience.
Yeah.
And I do applaud our department because they were bringing every company through, every station, every shift, so they could see the site. And as we knew it at that time, like, this is what happened. And I think it gave people a ton of awareness of what we went through, what the crews went through, and then just be able to match that up with the pictures. And I think it took care of a ton of, like, rumor control, number one, but it got everybody on the same page so they could at least have some connection to it and experience it. But I do remember you going into the investigation, and we'd been there for a little while, and we were all, I think, waiting on the wagon for you, and then a box comes out. And, you hop on the wagon, you're off, but you just came down with us. And I remember turning and looking at you. I remember you walking up the hill, and you were obviously very upset. And I'd known you for, 13, 15 years by that point.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've never seen Andy cry that hard.
Yeah.
And we go to the box, or we're starting to run down the road. I turn around and it's like, listen, we do not. I will put us in service and we'll go back to the firehouse. And I remember you looking at me just like through tears and choking. I was just like, just fucking go. And I remember I felt 2 inches tall because I just put one of my best friends in a really bad situation. And I felt 2 inches small. And luckily we got put in service and we drove back.
Yeah.
But they asked you some tough questions.
They sure did. 3 or 4 people in like a large vehicle. And they did ask some hard questions, and it was a difficult situation. Nothing like, breaking down and crying in front of strangers. And they offered to stop several times. But I wanted to be helpful and tell them everything I could to help. And we did it. Yeah.
They had you second guessing yourself, though.
There were some things that I was not ready to hear. Are we going to talk about this and maybe edit it out, or are we going to put it right out there?
I remember that they asked questions and they had you second guess what you did.
Yeah.
And I remember you being really hard on yourself and not thinking.
I don't think it was, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No.
But they weren't really, it was me second guessing me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anything that they alluded other than the facts that they knew them at that point.
Right.
Those individuals had sat through the autopsy,
Mm-hmm.
and they had some real information, and the facts of. So from what I knew from my experience and then what they had to say, I felt some, like there could have been some responsibility on me for that, some of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just remember that being hard on you.
Yeah, and I, there were some things there that we did that, like, I was sure some things that I checked when we were in the hole, and some things that I was confident about, checking air and that sort of thing. When I was making my way to Nate, I'd pull my body breathing whip out, but at the time, I saw that there was air in his tank and his BA was hooked up, so I made the decision not to hook up. And in that moment, I felt the urgent need that we need to get out right now.
Yeah.
So we went. And you went, that seemed like that's what we did.
Yeah.
And then whenever later for that interview, I felt like maybe maybe I really wish I would have tried to give him some air, taking that time. The way things work out, the way the universe works, that 30, those seconds to minutes where the rest of that area collapsed, maybe if I had hooked up, maybe we would have all been in a bad spot. So maybe that gut feeling of we need to get out right now, maybe it had something to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some time there after that interview where I was like, man, I really wish.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You
Yeah.
can't do the wish thing. You have to accept pretty darn quickly that things happen the way they happened and you weren't going to change it anymore. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you start selling yourself that and believing it, that, man, it happened the way it happened.
Yeah.
And now we're moving forward. That's all there was that we could do.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. If we spent more time, it could have been different. And looking back with the autopsy reports, it took us a little while to get that information, but we found out later that, he was down there long enough, it wouldn't have affected anything. And in that twisted way, it kind of gave at least me some peace, knowing that what was done was done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I remember driving to something like, because on my 2 days off right after ATF had me come down and do the questioning, and I remember we were standing in the basement of the house looking at the steps to the crawl space. Actually, we didn't even know it was a crawl space yet. We thought it was like a sunken living room. And they were asking questions, and they were very like nice and supportive, and we were just trying to put pieces together because nobody knew what the hell was going on. And I just remember that was day one of like a summer that rained incessantly.
Yeah.
It's just the rain and the muck, and going back home and talking to my wife, like I think I need to get back on the horse. And I remember telling her like I need to call the training academy and just like put him through the fireground survival course, like the confidence course at the end. Like I know guys that would do that for me. Like I think I need to get back in there and just like make sure I don't freeze up. And she looked at me and was like, "What the?
Yeah.
You've already done it." Like she's like, you were just all the training that you've been doing and the stress inoculation stuff and the way you push each other and the workouts and the team building, like everything that you all have done just validated what it is that you did.
It was a magic time.
Like everything hit at the right point. And I remember that kind of rocked me back on my heels. And I don't mean to sound arrogant. Like it's, part of it was like, don't be ridiculous. You don't need to do a confidence course. And part of it was kind of like the last 13 years, however long it was that we had spent doing little things every single day culminated to this one moment.
Yeah.
And it did validate everything that we had been doing. So I remember that really checked me. Going back to the firehouse, even though the entire department had gone through, seeing the incident scene, being walked through, I remember just insane rumors like, oh, Nate died because he was strangled.
Oh, wow.
Jesus Christ.
Like I heard that one, like he got caught in wires and was strangled to death.
What?
Or I just like that. No,
Yeah.
like, or people would come in and be like, well, this is the reason like this happened, or well, this, and like, and these are people that weren't even there.
Yeah.
And they're talking to guys from 7 and 10 who were there, hands on him. And I remember I tried to patiently educate anybody that I could, like, what you're going around all the firehouses saying is incorrect.
Yeah.
This is the facts as we know them. And then the ICE report would come out, like all kinds of stuff would happen. And it was just amazing. Like we would still fill the voids with just like insane comments.
Like you say, people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And until it's you can say what you would do, but you don't really know
Yeah. You just,
because
don't
it
know.
hasn't been you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I forgot about that night. We made the conscious effort to have like, we kind of call it like family time.
Yeah.
Like I remember we all
Had a meal.
we had a meal together. We went
Very
to
private.
a restaurant. It was very private. We didn't allow anybody in. It was just us with spouses. I remember our phone was blowing up like, hey, we want you guys over here. We want to make a speech. And it was incessant. Like, no, you need to come over here right now. We want to do speeches and this and that. And like, we're having family time. We'll come over when we're ready. And it was really nice to detach and hang out together and spend time together.
We were our best support system.
We were,
God.
I don't know what kind of foresight we had, but we, to come away and kind of put up a little bit of a wall and
For
just
sure.
have us time. Like we insulated ourselves to protect ourselves, but we did it in such a way that we had the ability to connect and talk and decompress without the distractions of everything that was happening externally.
Brian opened his home up,
Yeah.
had us all up there stay
Yeah.
for that night. And before that, I guess we went over there.
And that
got
dude's
ready
like
or whatever.
Martha Stewart, man. I think he has like apron on,
Spotless.
crock pot meals. Like every
The top
meal
shelf was out.
top shelf, bourbon connoisseur stuff was out. And that was another period. Like we kept focusing on having time for us to connect with each other,
Just be together.
and with our wives, and
Stay
just be
close.
together.
Yeah.
And not funnel into that side of it. I think that was some of the first drinks I had, almost a week later.
Yeah.
But
even then, it was slow.
it was slow.
I remember when we did go over there, we just kind of were, you could tell our heads were up. Every now and then you would just see guys scan around to like check on each other, make eye contact. You're good.
Just give each other the look.
One or two drinks, but that's just the way it worked out. I don't think we ever even talked about like, hey, these are some things we should do or not do. It was solemn enough that we never got in on the.
Yeah, and I think we saw what that other end was because
But when we got over there and saw that, it was like, ooh.
Yeah. There are people that just weren't doing well for many reasons.
Everybody has a story and the way they deal with it.
Yeah.
That's just what worked for us.
Yeah. There are, I think for the people that weren't there, and we saw this at 7, I mean, in the wake of it, we saw a lot of people, when they got detailed into 7, they'd call out sick. There were a lot of people that as these stories came out of what we had to go through, I think, and I don't mean to assume too much, but I think they realized like this job is what people have claimed it can be. Yeah. And there are people that weren't there that wanted to be there and struggle with that. I think there are people that weren't there and I've had people say, I know I could not have done what the crews there did. And I struggle with that. And people struggle in their own ways. And I think that, it gave an opportunity for reflection, but some of that reflection may not have been in the healthiest ways. So what better way to cope than with alcohol and making speeches and making t-shirts? And those are all fine when tempered appropriately.
Yeah.
But we had, in the very uncanny way, I think we had an opportunity to like take care of each other in a way that we didn't realize we were doing, but we knew it felt right. And I think it kept us even closer. We weren't numb to things. We made a conscious or maybe even unconscious effort to feel the feels and talk it out and just have that connection. And I think we all struggled in our own ways, but we fared better because we knew we had each other.
That's what it was. We had each other.
Yeah. So the next day the funeral comes. And I remember for a lot of people was kind of more like pomp and circumstance, right? We're all in Class A's. And Station 10, like you all, I think were already like seated before the procession started, if I'm not mistaken, right? I remember so you all were already in there.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to start this massive, like almost statewide funeral, like governors there, everybody. And they're like, hey, Station 7, lead the procession into this massive auditorium. So I remember Captain Love and I were the officers of 7. We'll start the procession. So we're just sitting there standing at the doors waiting to get the green light. And I remember the honor guard, I think it was Dylan Murray, comes out holding Nate's youngest kid. And remember their MSLS have 5 kids. Yeah. I mean, 3 of their own. And the youngest comes out and he's on his hip. And he comes out the doors and I'm thinking like, hey, we're good. Like we're going to lead it in. It's going to be fine. And they stop right in front of us and they start looking around. And his youngest kid, I don't remember how old he was at the time, 2 or 3 maybe. And he goes, hey, that's Daddy's fire truck. Oh, like, let's go. I want to go see Daddy. And I remember Captain and I, our chins hit our chest and we lost it. Kids, always freaking get me, man. Yeah. And when he says, like, I want to see Daddy. Show me Daddy's fire truck. All right. And he was awesome. He's like, yeah, let's go see Dad. Man, that gutted me walking in there. And then, we lead it in, the processions happen and all that. And then, I know on the back end, they had us all line up. It was that weird couple hours of no rain and full sun in the middle of summer and people are dropping left and right. And to start it off, I remember they had like a procession for the wives. And I think it was like a show of respect. And I remember a couple of our wives, just strong, independent, capable women, were like, fuck that. You will not put me on display. I'll be back here. Do what you need to do. This is for him. Nice gesture, but no thanks. and people were falling out left and right. And then you get to the wake, and I remember just being, I remember we slid off to the side again.
Yeah.
We did our own thing. All kinds of people just hammered drunk, like arm around the shoulder, like you guys did a great job. You did what you could or whatever. And it was nice that people were thinking of us and were listening and paying attention, but it was just a weird spot to be in.
Wasn't sure how I felt about that yet when people would say that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember a lot of the funeral.
Yeah.
I think it's that defense mechanism.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think I remember feeling that funerals were kind of designed to make you cry, to let that feeling be real and let a little of it out. And it weighed on me. We sat behind 10.
Yeah.
And 10's wives.
Yeah.
Their significant, all the significant others. And that weighed on me.
Yeah.
Seeing them.
I remember some of the wives, I think it was Kristen Schultz, was like, she was handing me tissues.
Yeah.
We're all sitting there crying together, and she's just like one row back, just like feeding me tissues for a couple of times. It wasn't too long after that, next shift or two, Celeste comes, or we hear that Celeste wants to come talk to Seven.
I have a story about this, but go ahead.
Yeah. And we didn't know what it was going to be. We just thought, okay, she wants to come talk to Station 7. We pulled her husband out.
I was sweating.
And we thought we'd sit at the kitchen table and everything was going to be fine. She'd have some questions for us. And I remember some of like the union and family reps came a little earlier. I was like, hey man, so like, what's up? What should we expect? And the one guy was like, oh, she's going to ask you what happened. She wants to know like how you found him, what position he was in. Did he have air? Did he not have air? Like, she's going to ask you hard questions, so buckle up. And I remember talking to Captain, was like, we cannot do this with the whole shift. We have to do this.
Yeah.
And I remember we went into like the TV room and we kind of had our little intimate thing, and she asked hard questions.
Yeah.
And I get it from her point. She wants to know what the hell happened to her husband.
Yeah.
So that was pretty emotional and pretty stressful. And I tried to be as honest as I could. I tried not to assume too much because, we still didn't have answers.
Yeah.
Just remember coming out and then like going right back into immediately like running calls and going in that.
I was nervous that day. We knew she was coming and didn't know what to expect. And you guys didn't tell us beforehand that it was just going to be you two.
Mm.
So when you took her in there, like, and closed the door, I was like, oh wow, like, you just sheltered us from that. And I was driving on the line that day on 71.
Yeah.
And after you guys came out, we were back to running calls. And we ran a medical down off Harmel with Cedar Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And we were coming out. I pulled the wagon over. I said, man, that was some big boy shit.
I remember that.
To shoulder that and step up and have the forethought to save us all from having that exposure, that experience, that memory, good or bad, because we didn't know what was coming. But I was super duper impressed with you and Captain Love that day. And you never told me, and you haven't to this day, what was said there, and you've never spoken about it. Man, that's a big deal. I appreciate that.
Thank you. It was, I did most of the talking, and it was just hard questions.
I'm not asking.
No, it's okay. She wanted to know what happened. Yeah. She wanted to know what he looked like. She wanted to know.
Yeah.
She wanted to know the things that other people were going to tell her.
That was just a real big deal. I still feel that way.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a weird one. And I mean, just on the heels of that, like just constant funerals,
Yeah.
retirees coming through and just left and right. And there were some times when there were certain individuals that were very checked out and were like, all right, well, if you're going to do this, you need to use your own leave. And like, it was very inconsistent. It was very weird there for a while about which ones we were going to, which ones we weren't. And then it got to points where like 10 and 7 would talk to each other like, hey, you doing this one? Are you going to this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we tried to be as supportive as possible to the family. And it just got to the point where like, we're starting to pour from an empty cup and it's getting to be a little too much. And I love bagpipes.
Oh boy.
And
Not anymore.
And it's also getting to be a little too much.
Yeah.
And so it got to the point to where like we had to bow out. It was taking a toll, and and I can't like stress enough how impressed I am by Celeste and the family, because they were doing it at an insane pace, constant, being pulled in so many different directions. And there's, a dozen grown ass men who are like, yeah, we need to sit this one out.
Yeah.
And the kids are there.
Yeah.
And again, like the kids, his one daughter went up for one of them because she wanted to like present something, like she made something or wrote something for her dad that they could keep in like a vessel. And I remember like just being gutted again because, here comes the daughter, just strong as her mom.
In a spitting image.
Spitting image. God, man. And I mean, you want to see, 30 grown men cry as soon as those kids get involved, man. Like we were done.
Yeah.
But their strength is unreal.
We did a lot, though.
It was a lot.
We did a lot.
It was a crazy pace. I forgot, not too long after my oldest was turning 5, and both sides of our family were at our house, and we're all close. And, I'm one of 4, my wife's one of 3, girlfriends' wives were all there, grandparents, and I'm grilling. And when I come into the kitchen and the girls are running around and having a good time, and everybody's, playing games with each other, and everybody's happy and together. And I remember sitting in my kitchen and just looking over my shoulders like, Celeste is at home without a husband, without the father, and I broke down in my kitchen.
Yeah.
I remember feeling so guilty that I am here getting to experience this and be with my kids, and she's at home without that. And I remember I went upstairs and I got in a good cry, came back down, washed my face, and went back to grilling. And I didn't tell anybody about that for probably at least a year. And then enough time had gone by where people are starting to push. I had a couple of close friends like, hey, what you all went through was pretty insane. Like you need to educate people on this. Like put your name in for FDIC, whatever. I was a little resistant at first, but I started just kind of throwing a presentation together and getting ready for it and seeing if they would even accept it. And I had the opportunity to talk about like our experience and do my presentation for the RIT operation at a Maryland Chiefs conference. And I found out right before I get there that Celeste and Mark Falkenham's wife were going to be there. And so I go through the incident. She was able to see some videos that she hadn't seen before, provided some more context. And I talked about my experiences and just told a couple of those stories where I kind of broke down with my family. And I remember thinking like, how dare I talk about my experiences and my times when I felt weak in front of the 2 widows that lost their husbands in the line of duty. And I remember them coming up to me afterwards. I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah. I remember feeling 2 inches tall, and I'm getting ready for her to be like, how the fuck dare you? And they both gave me a hug and like and thanked me. That like, and I think she said something effective like, sometimes we forget that you guys struggled too, and you got stuff going on at home. So thank you. And I also had a picture of me and Nate from when we were riding together one day, and she's like, I hadn't seen that picture before, and like that smile that he had, so thank you for that. And it totally like, oh my God, she's reasonable. Like she's just an awesome person, and it put me at ease. But I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah, she's the embodiment of grace. That's the best way I can put it. She's God, like
You mentioned Colorado though, so IFF Memorial in Colorado Springs, and so we all go, and I was super thankful for you because we got out and we hiked and we did all the sightseeing and we moved. The amount of stuff that we did in like a 72-hour period was just insane, right?
I just want the record to show that we hiked the Manitou Incline before you guys. So
I think we have the land speed record though for
whatever.
firefighters.
George was just trying to show off, and he's like sprinting up the hill. I'm like, it's gonna catch up to him. It's gonna catch up to him. He's like, I can't breathe. I'm like, I told you we're at altitude, idiot.
So I actually, like an idiot, I forgot my pants.
I
forgot my Class A pants.
Oh, that's right.
From all
I forgot
the
about that.
freaking funeral, the stuff, and all the wakes and memorials. And Zolik had a connection in Colorado Springs
dude
from
knows
some chief,
everybody.
and literally pulled up to the hotel like an hour before. Like, here's some pants, and
They
they
didn't
fit.
come in like license sirens.
They fit better than my own pants. Like, what are the chances? This guy was phenomenal. I think he's assistant chief out there somewhere. So totally saved me. And then we do the funeral, and I remember I think that's when I really first started I tied one on the night before, like just sweating Guinness and whiskey, and we do the incline, and we get to the top, and I remember feeling like that was closure for us. It was me, you, and Brian, and we got to the top, and I think it was that period of struggle and getting to the top of a literal and metaphorical mountain. We had the closure of the memorial, and we get to the top, and I remember we were just kind of like arm in arm, and I feel like a weight was lifted off of our shoulders in that moment. I remember from that moment on how impactful that was, and it was a couple months later. My wife had a little trip. We were going to Shenandoah, and I remember cresting over this one hill, and as soon as I saw the mountain, I just started crying. I remember thinking that I feel that I got one. Like just being in nature, but then also just like getting to the top of these mountains and struggling and knowing that it's okay. It changed me. Like that climb changed me.
Yeah, it was different after that. And there's something in the struggle.
Yeah.
Something that you can find, especially with friends, us, doing hard things together. You go places sometimes spiritually. It brings it out, or you find it. I think we all felt that there.
Yeah.
And we called Drini on our way back down.
Yeah. So you could be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where Colorado Springs is where the bagpipes happen for me. I don't think I've heard one since. And I'll choose that all the time. I just don't show up or tune it out. But I can't do bagpipes anymore.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know many that can from 7 or 10 that,
Yeah.
And this is nothing against the military at all. Like, let's say you do your average 4 and out. They have done amazing things for themselves, for this country. Like, my love runs deep. Sometimes it might be a 4 and out. We accumulate some of these things that we have 20, 25, 30 plus years. And you do start to recognize those names. Yeah. I know you talk about the Band of Brothers podcast and Jocko.
I'm a big one for that.
Yeah. Just talk on that for a minute.
Well, Woodscape consumed me for years. I thought about it all the time, every day. And I thought I was pretty well back to a pretty good order of life, I guess, but I never really, it took a while. And for Saul.
So
I struggled for well, ever since then. But for 2 years, it was probably worse. The first two. And I think I didn't seek help. I didn't have a therapist. I should have. I wish I would have. And for anybody listening, you should jump right on that. I thought for a long time about writing notes or keeping a journal, and I should have done that. It was probably 2.5, 3 years before I started writing. And then I sat down for a couple days and put 20, 30 pages down, and that made a huge difference for me. But the first big difference for me came when our dear friend Brian was listening to a podcast of Jocko, I think number 17, and right around, I think, the hour and 14-minute mark, it's a Band of Brothers podcast, but he starts kind of talking, I think almost going off script, sending a message to the veterans. And I listened to it. I listened to it a ton, wrote, many times. And it gave me the words that I couldn't find to get some of that closure or to express my feelings about it. And it was, I think that was 2.5 years later, whenever he sent that out. And immediately I felt that weight. That was the first weight lifted off the shoulders for me. But I would recommend, I think those words are not nearly as well known as they should be for people that have had events or things that have left scars. I have it pulled up here. It's paraphrased.
Yeah, I think we will, if we can, we'll try to throw it on the end of this so people can hear it. But if you paraphrase it for us.
Well, I actually have it queued up in my podcast thing, but it more or less says that if you're having one of those dark days, it's okay. It's okay to feel that darkness and to remember it and miss it and hate it and love it. And it's okay to wish it never happened, and at the same time to wish it never stopped. And it's okay to want to take it all back, and at the same time to want to do it all again. And if you've got it in your mind that you think that nobody understands, it's okay. They don't. But you do. You know the darkness, but more important than that, you know good. You know light. And you know laughter and love better than anyone. So embrace it. Own it. Don't look away from it. Don't bury it in booze or pills. Live your life. Embrace it with physical activity and nature, friendships, music, good times, I encourage everybody to listen to that. And, it's about moving forward. And that's, I went from 50%. I kind of always rated myself in a self-assessment, as a percentage. If I felt like I was 50% back to more or less normal or who I was before Woodscape, I probably jumped up to 80% just hearing that.
Yeah.
Which is the power of words.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's music or a song or the ability to write something down, or simply a key conversation with somebody. Not long after that, a few months after Brian sent us that, training was detailed out to 4. And Woodscape didn't come up all day.
Because you had left 7 and you were now
at 4.
at 4.
Yeah. And it didn't come up all day. And I think that, you don't always want to be that guy that brings it up, because you never know your buddy. If he's in a good headspace that day, you don't want to be the guy to bring it up and kind of ruin that for him. But we went down to the grill, Old 4, to cook dinner, and it came up there, and he asked how I was doing, and more or less said, it's been hard, and man, I really miss the guys from 7. And I remember saying to him that everything that had happened in life pretty much to that point put us there for that. When we got hired, or the activities we did growing up, or the choices we made, or what were made for us. Missed promotions, transfers that you didn't ask for. You never really know why things are happening. Half the reason I even ended up at 7 was because John was in the hospital for 3 months when he was born. When I came back for a few months, I tried to stick out the paramedic thing, but I really struggled with that, so I let it go. And a few days later, I was transferred to 7A. If John wouldn't have been in the hospital, would I have been there for that?
Right.
So sometimes things happen and you don't know why. If you're fortunate, you get to look back and see kind of why things came together the way they did sometimes, or the why, if it happened, if it didn't seem like it made sense at the time, or it wasn't what you wanted. But everything that had happened at that point put us there for that, such a time as this. And, we got to pick up and move forward, and got a lot of life to live after that. So where are we going to go, and what are we going to do? But so that was just one of those conversations that made another big jump in that recovery. Just that communication, I wish we would have talked about it more. I think instead of being scared to bring it up, man, we should have just talked about it.
Yeah.
And I'd encourage people, if you're thinking about it, talk to me about it, because I'm probably thinking about it too.
Yeah.
I sent you that thing, a message on the 3rd anniversary, because nobody was talking about it. And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy, but if you're having a hard day, I am, so call me. And you did call, and we did have a talk about that and a cry and let a little more out and move forward a little more.
Yeah, the 2nd anniversary wasn't bad. Like, there were some moments, and we had talked to that. For a couple of years, you think about it every single day. And I probably at one time or another, like every single day for the first year or two, I would get misty-eyed over something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was good. Sometimes it was bad. Sometimes it was thankful. Sometimes it was maybe feeling a little defeat. And then over time, we got to the point where we both actually were like, hey, I went 24 hours without thinking about it.
I remember the very first time, was a month shy of 3 years when I was back at 7.
Yeah.
And I came to you, and a project at home so consumed my thoughts. I came to work the next day, and I was like, hey, buddy, I think I didn't think about it yesterday for the first time.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Just to give an idea of,
yeah. But like you said, with the podcast and with other people that have experienced this, it never truly leaves. It changes in degree or severity.
Yeah, kind of what TJ touched on there about those waves of emotion, decreasing in frequency and amplitude over time, but they never go away. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the other Jocko podcasts where he talked about, he had an old World War II veteran in there, 95 years old, and broke down, crying about the buddies that he lost 50 years ago, and that's when even Jocko realized it in himself that, this is never going to go away. So, but we do have a responsibility to live also, and carry on, and make more memories and do more things together.
Yeah, you really helped me on that one anniversary, because I think we had worked out together that morning, and I remember thinking the entire time, like, we should do something. We should go out. We should get coffee. We should do this and do that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I don't want to be a burden. Like, I don't want to hijack these people's day, And so I left, and I remember feeling like there was this weird buildup, and I'm thinking it's been a few years now. I'm doing better. Why? Not that I was ever super struggling, but it was just this one's getting me for some reason. I don't understand why. And I remember you had felt it. And I remember I don't remember who called who. Yeah. I thought you had called me.
Yeah, whatever.
But you were I could feel the energy.
Yeah.
I can tell you're off. Are you okay? And I remember I was in my driveway, and I was crying hard enough I couldn't talk to you.
Yeah, I remember that. That was number 3.
That was 3.
Yeah.
And I just didn't understand why.
That was the whole thing.
But I think a lot of it was you just don't know when it's going to come. and there was a lack of connection. I think like I really wanted to be with my guys, and
Yeah.
in an effort to like not get in anybody's way, I started like internalizing and not talking to people, and I was like, no, I don't want to bother them or this or that, and
Everybody just wants to be together.
Yeah.
What surprised me about number 3 was that, it snuck up on me. I thought I was okay. And then I realized that like in June or, the beginning of July, like I was fidgety. My heart was skipping beats, or it was just fast all the time. I wasn't sleeping. And really, I thought it was just normal life things that was happening at the time. Like, and then all of a sudden one day I'm like 2.5 hours in on the lawnmower, and there's nobody around, and I'm just crying in the middle of nowhere for no reason. And then it dawned on me like, oh, it's anniversary time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what's coming. And then that's when I realized that the after effects of dealing with something like this, and I don't really agree with putting labels on things, so I'm not going to, but it affects you physically, and it's not just a mental thing after that.
Yeah.
You can see that the catecholamine dump on the 3rd anniversary was not far off of the original, the incident itself, and what I felt for a few days after that. Man, it took me 2 weeks to get my head decent after the 3rd anniversary.
Yeah.
That's where we were,
Yeah.
I should have started talking to somebody sooner.
Yeah. I remember I was just super thankful that you had reached out and were aware enough that I was having a tough time and checking in. And then it was after that conversation, I was like, it is going to be okay. And people are paying attention, and people are like, no, like there's still a little bit of struggle there.
And it's not just me.
And it's not
just
me.
you,
Yeah. I remember like nasal breathing. Like I would get like a little bit of anxiousness in my chest, and like I could do all kinds of stuff, but like long nasal breathing and doing like box style breathing was one of the things that helped like kick it. And obviously going back to the struggle of like that constant movement and getting in the gym, doing the hard work, and then maybe if there's the physical side, and then the not physical, more intellectual side of just talking about it and not letting it sit.
Yeah.
One of a super powerful quote, I think it was Tim Ferriss, and it might have been Jocko talking about it again, was men are really good at bearing it down, right? Like we don't talk about it, we push it down. And the quote is like, I'm paraphrasing, but all these things that we push down, we think we're hiding, but little did we know that it was a seed and it grew. And is that the shade that we want to live under? Is these things that we're not talking and getting out, are those going to be the things that are going to manifest themselves into something that's going to be disastrous longer on or longer down the road?
Yeah. That was me. We were in the year 4 before I got low enough to make that phone call. I called Brian. I said, hey, buddy, I need to talk to somebody. He gave me the name of somebody, and that was this year, bud. We're sitting here today. Like, that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
April, May, June, something like that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, same. I think the three of us in the room were trying to do things to have that self-improvement and talk to somebody.
And it's interesting to sometimes look back and see, like, I try to eat pretty clean, and I try to do a fair amount of exercise, and we worked out hard before Woodscape. And I'm still here, like, at the level of, managing this that I am. Like, where would I be if I wasn't eating clean? If I would have decided to start taking a drink, or if I would have quit exercising, thinking the likelihood of me ever having to do something like that again at work is a very small percent, but like, so I'm gonna take today off. Like, I can't do that. Like, where would we be today, or where would I be today if we weren't doing some of those basic discipline things to just maintain.
Yeah. And you're not doing it to the detriment where you're burning yourself out or not healing.
Yeah, no, just
But constant little bits of improvement, maybe you change the scale or intensity, but you're doing things to consistently move, because if you don't move, we know that end, and it's not a healthy one.
Yeah. Rolling stone gathers no moss.
Yeah.
So you got to keep moving. But,
Yeah,
that came to a head for me. Sorry.
No, please.
I think after you had left 7, you were filling in at safety car, I think one day when I was working at 9. And man, I was a wreck. I think we talked about it a little bit, maybe at that picnic table they had going on in the engine bay there. I really thought that people lost sleep over things like this at night, from like the way they, maybe they regretted their actions, or maybe they wished they'd done something or whatever. Like we said earlier, I came to terms pretty quickly with like the way things played out. But it still weighed on me just huge. To the point where like I said something to you that day that it didn't, I don't think it hit you the way I intended it to, but I said something like, "You've kept me alive more times than you know." And you thought that we were talking about that night. I didn't really have a ton of regrets after that, the way we did that, but I still thought about ending things in the years after Woodscape and that uncontrollable kind of thing. And every time that those thoughts would creep into my mind, I would think about like how unfair it would be for me to be going through that, and for me to show up and work with you every day, and for you to not have any idea of where I'm at, and how that would be absolutely unfair, and the pain that would cause you to, if I were to do that, I got to the point where I knew the gun, where it would be, who I would write letters to, and what they'd say. And it almost got to feel like there was a couple people that I just knew that, even though that my mind was going there, I just knew that I could not let them down like that. Not to mention, I felt like if I would have done that, people would be like, "Holy shit, if Andy Hoffman did that, what's it gonna do to me?" But it scared me the day before we sat down at 9 that day, where it almost felt like a destiny thing, or like it was inevitable. And I got scared. And that's when I knew I had to reach out and get that person. But man, buddy, there were times when I just didn't want to let you down.
It definitely goes both ways.
And that's all I have to say about that.
That's it? Jesus.
No. We're having real talk now.
Yeah, we went there.
But
I remember that day, and I remember talking to Jess and being scared. Like, one of the strongest guys I know is really struggling.
Yeah.
You're one of the strongest, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, men I know. And to see you struggle, it scared me. And I think there was almost a little bit of a trauma response. I think I even blocks part of that out. And I just remember, that core group of us, if anything happened to any one of us, it absolutely would kill me.
yeah.
That would
Who
destroy
am I
me.
that I let you get there?
Yeah, and there's so many times that I can look back on and being like, it's so easy to get in the grind and routine of things, of doing the work around the house, and got to get the kids here and there, and you gotta, I gotta empty the dishwasher, and I got this errand to run. And so often I look back on some of those days and like, none of this shit matters.
Oh gosh.
There's a Micah Fink episode where for like at hour 2, he just talks about like, none of this dumb shit matters. Like, call that person that you care about. Go hike that mountain. Go eat the good food. Like, check in on your buddy and make sure they're doing okay. That load of laundry can sit there. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, those errands you got to run. And there's so often that I've regretted, like, I get in the routine in my to-do list and I got to get all these things done and I have to accomplish this or that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, checking in on you and checking in on you. That's, and connecting and saying, hey, let's go out for coffee.
Yeah.
Let's go grab dinner. Let's get lunch. Let's go spend a weekend in West Virginia and go climb a mountain.
Man, I love that.
Those are the things that keep us alive
Putting back in that cup.
and give us a cup to pour from.
Yeah. And it felt selfish to let me try to make myself a priority now and then to try to put something in that cup.
Yeah.
But man, if you want to be good for your significant others and your kids and your friends, if you got to put, you got to do something for you a little bit here and there to feed your soul so you can give everybody a better version or the best version of what you got.
Yeah.
You got to get a little out of it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It took me a long time to figure that out.
it felt selfish, and
It does.
it's
not.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, get something on the calendar, a little adventure, a little nature,
Yeah.
and have something to look forward to.
I remember the reason I was at 9 was because I put my name in the hat for captain. And I did put a lot of eggs in one basket, and I knew that.
Yeah.
And I won't even get into that side of it. I think I remember driving to my interview, and I remember texting. We have our little text thread with me, you, Drini, and Brian, and I'm like, hey, guys, I'm really feeling off about this thing. Like, because I was so short for so long, like it's not what I wanted. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to put some eggs in one basket and I'm going to see what I can make happen. And the closer I got to headquarters for my interview, the pressure in my chest.
Yeah.
And I remember I got to headquarters and Brian called me. He's like, are you okay? And I couldn't talk because I was crying so hard in the parking lot of headquarters. It was like, I'm about to interview for a rank that I could lose you guys. Chances are good I'm gonna lose every bit of connection and trust I have, and I'm gonna look back in whatever front seat I'm riding in, and I'm not gonna see the guys that I trust. And I know that's part of this job, but I'm like almost making a conscious effort to chuck the deuces and lose the best thing that I've ever had happen to me. And I remember he talked me through it, and he brought me down, and we talked about like leadership and connection and like, chance opportunities and things that are going to happen that you'll never know about. And, I won't tell him to his face, but I love him to death, and he's very wise, and it brought me down. But I remember it completely rocked me, and knowing that I'm going through motions to what felt like lose everyone at 7.
Lose that. Yeah.
Lose that. Sometimes I still second guess myself, but you're right. That, maybe one of those chance moments was us coming back together at 9.
Yeah.
And have you say that.
And like you're going through now, sometimes you just gotta kind of trust the universe is working what it's working for you. It's got something in mind.
Yeah.
Something bigger that you can't even imagine. You don't know.
that was 2018.
Yeah.
So I guess we're coming into our 5th year.
Yeah.
It's weird. I think we're all trying to do things to self-improve with, like, whether it be therapy, the work, the workouts. I know it's made me a deeper, fuller person, and it's done amazing things for me. And not just work. Like, my wife and I really struggled, and not necessarily because of work stuff. Like, we had our own things going on, and it made us so much stronger, and has given us skills to work through these things, which I've been able to bring into work and work through things and be able to connect to people differently. But it is weird. I think that enough time has passed where there are some people that are absolutely still holding up their end of the bargain. And I feel like there are some people that have forgotten.
Yeah.
I still am active with the Fireground Survival programs in the academy. I know there's some at least cursory level awareness they have of the incident, and then just Fireground Survival skills for the academy. And I know there are plenty of people out there still holding up their end of the bargain and doing things every day to improve and get that 1%. And there are some that, it is easy just to, work a 24-hour shift. So sometimes it is easy to kick the feet up and not work out and go hide in your bunk and, do those things. But, the captain that was with us there at night, he was, a year out from retirement, with over 30 years on, and he was in there with us.
Yeah.
These things can happen on the last day of our careers.
Yeah. You just never know.
You just never know.
Yeah.
And I still go to work thinking that I may not have ran the worst call yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to keep getting after it.
Yeah. One of my guys, just the other day said, just a phenomenal human being. He was like, when I get assigned my position, I want to know that I am the best person, and they chose me for that spot. And if that's layout, you will not find anybody else in the county right now that is going to lay out better than me. You're not going to find anybody else that's driving that ambulance is going to be the 2 out better than me. And that is my spot, and I'm going to own it. And I'm going to do everything in my power to be the best person I can be for that job for that 24-hour period. And I think if everybody just took a little shred of that and, focused on their job for that day, and like what's that one little bit. It doesn't have to be anything grand. It doesn't have to be some 4-hour hands-on training. Even if it's just some little bit where you can say, I did something today. I improved myself. I experienced a little bit of healthy struggle. That little drip every single day for 30 years, you're going to look back on and realize I did okay.
Yeah.
And I was ready.
And it's just it's not just a work thing, but it's just a lifestyle where be healthy, exercise and, do some little things here and there. And it's good for you at home and it's good for you at work.
Yeah.
It's not here or there or separating whatever. It's a lot of little things you can do that make it easier for you and good over the long run.
You hit on this earlier. It's not selfish to take care of yourself.
No, man.
I think self-care gets thrown out a little too easy. And I've actually had people say that. And some people have joked, but some people have said this seriously. Like, no, I've got my, cup of sugar and I'm going to go watch Netflix and this is self-care because I need to decompress. That's not self-care.
Yeah, no.
Yes, do the things to fill your cup, but that means go connect with a friend. Go have lunch with somebody that you care about and have meaningful conversation. Go on that trip. Go hike that mountain. Go travel somewhere to broaden your horizons and expectations and meet new people. Do the workout. Even if you're having an off day and don't feel good, get some rest and then just go for a light run. Throw in a backpack, go a rock, go walk your dog.
You get some mobility.
Get some mobility.
In the living room
do
floor.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Listen to a meditation.
Yeah.
Eat
Sit in
the
silence.
good food.
Turn the phone off a little bit.
Right.
Let some silence come in and zen out for a little bit.
That's that is growth.
Yeah.
That is the thing that will fill your cup. That is going to make you a deeper, fuller person. So I think we just need to be mindful of what we're doing on our, not just our off days, but yes, obviously what we're doing on the floor, and just not be neglectful to relationships. Because when we don't have this job anymore, I think that's really going to matter. And just having that, even now and in like retirement or when you hang the hat up, just knowing what that mission is and just doing something every day to improve it. You know, we were talking to Dave. I was just like, you left it better than you found it.
Man,
and if you can say that,
you're doing good.
You're doing okay.
Yeah.